Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another day of G1 League Champions action, brought to you by Beyond the Summit, of course, made possible by the G1 League and 17173.com. So if you're not already doing so, go check out their English website, g1.2p.com. Among other things, they just released a new interview with Ice Ice Ice, and as always, he was being a huge troll. It's worth a read. I heavily recommend checking it out. Anyway, I'm LD, I'm joined by Luminous, and we are going to be casting Team DK versus Invictus Gaming. Before we really dive into the draft, want to talk about the scenario we see now in Group B. Zenith is currently 2-0, IG 1-0. Zenith having played one more game than them. DK off to an 0-1 start. So if DK win this, then Zenith will have the inside track for that first place position. But of course, IG are going to be the heavy favorites. DK looking a little bit flustered in their first performance in the G1 League this season. Not really seeming like they're adjusting well to the current version, but this is DK. They have a star-studded roster. Let's see what they can do.
Star-studded roster is really an understatement. I felt like this is like the Zenith of the Chinese. They are so well known. Burning, obviously, X from eHome, 357, Yeru on the mid lane or Super. I'm amazed by this lineup and how they're not winning as much as they're winning. Obviously, they dropped their first match, but I'm looking to them to actually put up a good fight and even maybe take a match or two off of IG. But for now, Invictus Gaming will have the first pick and ban.
And what are they going to go for here? There's a Nyx Assassin in the pool. That's sort of the obvious pick. What else would you see as something that IG would first pick?
I mean, Lifestealer is definitely a very popular hero as well as Lone Druid.
Oh, that's true.
If you pick up, let's say, the Nyx Assassin, suddenly you give away both Lifestealer and Lone Druid. We see teams having a lot of difficulty beating that. But DK plays generally a 4 protect 1 strategy, and both Lone Druid and Lifestealer requires a ton of farm, so I'm not sure if, even if it's available to them, they'll pick up that kind of strategy.
Yeah, well, it's sort of going to be a gamble by IG if they give it away. And IG, they've been playing so fluidly and just so completely at the top of their game as of late that they're probably confident anyway. And they will start with the Nyx opening. I imagine DK will take at least one of those two heroes. Birdie is quite well known for his Lone Druid play. I have not seen him play much Lifestealer. I think we've seen him play it a handful of times, but not really one of his signature heroes by any means. You know, Lumi, what we saw DK play in their previous match for the G1 League, their first match in Phase 3, they were picking Anti-Mage at a very high priority, basically second or third pick at the latest, always in the first stage. And what do you think of that? Do you think we're going to see that Anti-Mage today? Do you think DK can make it work against IG, or do they have to do something different?
Well,
they will do something different.
They will do something different in the form of Lone Druid and SD. But going back to answer your question, I feel like Anti-Mage, although a very powerful late game hero, it makes drafting around him a little bit difficult because you can't go offensive trialing with him. You could definitely solo, and we've seen him solo multiple times in the before. But in terms of defensive trialing with them as well, it seems like you're just pinned on defensive no matter what. No matter how the game goes, you are just going to be defensive. Sometimes you sneak a kill here or there, but for the most part, you just kind of weather the storm that's going to be coming in. And I'm not sure that's really good in this current metagame where there's so much action early on. And especially against Invictus Gaming, who are
they're an aggressive team. They're known for their aggression. There's a Lifestealer in the pool.
The whole, what do you call it? The face rush?
The face rush lineup, yeah. I mean, it wasn't the first time that style had ever been run, but coming on the heels of the International 2 to suddenly see a team picking 5 gankers, basically, with max move speed for the entire team, yeah, it really was a face rush out of nowhere. They're going to go for some aggressive sort of face rush style heroes in their own right. The Nyx, the Lifestealer, and the Lifestealer, obviously, Lone Druid and Lifestealer are both great against each other. A number of things that we've talked about before, but of course you can Rage out of Entangle, you can Entangle through Rage. Lifestealer is great against tanky carries like Lone Druid, but at the same time, Lone Druid has enough armor that he can somewhat resist the damage coming from Feast. So a matchup that really can go either way as far as the two carries, and they're both very versatile with their laning stage. The Brewmaster will be the next choice, and this for me is a key pickup by IG. Brewmaster is so hard to play against when he's on the side of the Lone Druid, and he's also very hard to play Lone Druid against because Cyclone really neuters the bear.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Brewmaster pick is a great pickup, like you said, because Shadow Demon is the first support that DK picked up. Shadow Demon doesn't have that real stun, and Brewmaster could always ult out of that disruption. So it really forces on DK's hand to pick up at least the support. The second support has to be a heavy stunner. Maybe we're gonna see something even like a Lion or a Shadow Shaman, which is very popular support on the Chinese scene. I don't think we'll see it this early though. Also though, I do want to say Lone Druid and Shadow Demon are great heroes for the 4+1 strat. Lone Druid will tank a long time, or will tank a lot of punishment before going down, and that's generally more than enough time for the rest of the team to TP in and help him out. Shadow Demon, a very similar story, helps your allies to tank, help your carry to tank for even more teleport support. So yeah, a good opening for the draft for both teams, but this Brewmaster is the hero to watch out for in my opinion.
And it's Super's been playing it well late, or Ferrari's been playing. They both play a good Brewmaster, but yeah, Ferrari's been playing it pretty well lately. The last time that I've actually been really impressed by Ferrari sort of finding his stride again. I think that's been one of the sort of keys to IG's success over the past few months. Sure, they've been a dominant team the entire time, but Ferrari, there was a period where he was really struggling to make things happen, especially during the G1 League, and a lot of it just had to do with the heroes that he was getting. Almost every game, it was Night Stalker, and Night Stalker can only do so much if you don't have the openings to gank. I mean, the hero doesn't farm that quickly. He doesn't really offer as much in a team fight as a hero like a Brewmaster, but Ferrari has been on his A game with his Magnus play, with his Brewmaster play. He's been a pretty much flawless initiator for the team, and DK, well, they're going to go for the jungle hero here, picking up the Chen at this point, and it's a strong pushing lineup. But Chen can be pretty weak versus Lifestealer in some situations, as Lifestealer can just infest inside his creeps, and suddenly it's a free trip to the fountain in the middle of the engagement. So kind of a ballsy pick by DK.
It really is, because by picking up Chen, going back to what I said about having Shadow Demon as your first support and then dealing with the Brewmaster, you need to pick up a ton of stuns. They didn't do that. So DK is making a concession during the team fight saying, hey, Brewmaster, you could do whatever you want. You could ultimate, you could throw a panda in the air. We're going to try to outlast you. And having Test of Faith, Sandback, obviously, as well as Hand of God is going to be very, very helpful in doing so. So do look towards DK in picking up heroes that do damage very slowly, but sustain damage throughout the fight, or overall very, very tanky heroes, or very difficult to kill heroes. And when you're dealing with, or when you're running two melee carries, the Lifestealer and the Brewmaster, I mean, you could definitely kite them long enough if you have enough slows or stuns or disables. So we'll see if that's going to be overall DK's game plan. Obviously, they don't lack the early game power as well. Shadow Demon as well as Chen, great early game roamers. Question is, can you actually kill Brewmaster and Lifestealer early though? They're very, very tanky themselves.
Man, I love this Clockwork ban. Those cogs are just murder for a Lifestealer. And the mana drain can really mess up a Brewmaster in teamfights, especially early on, say before he gets his Arcane Boots or when he has a relatively small mana pool. Even with him, his mana pool isn't insane. Maybe you blink in, you get caught in cogs, or you get hooked onto and caught in the cogs. You lose too much mana, you may not get that ultimate off. So I think the Clockwork ban, a fantastic choice here, especially because they also have 3 melee heroes. And I also really like the Juggernaut ban. At this point, well, it's not really that surprising. It would have been, say, a month or two ago, but nowadays, we've seen it enough times. The Healing Ward plus the Lone Druid Bear is just too damn good for sieging. It's also really hard to deal with in team fights. And IG, they don't have any illusion-based heroes or summons to go kill the ward, so especially for that reason, I like this ban a lot. When you look at DK's lineup, it feels like they might want to do an aggressive tri-lane and get burning that 1v1 matchup in the safe lane, since he would do well if he has a 1v1 against any of these heroes, even maybe going mid, potentially, although we don't see that too often from DK. But if they want to go tri-lane with the Shadow Demon and the Chen, the options are now more limited, Juggernaut being banned out.
Yeah, offensive tri-lane is definitely a possibility, but it's a very, very risky one, because generally at level 1, your Chen don't want to start out at the enemy jungle, because you don't want to walk up those ramps, walk up those fog, and suddenly people jump on you. And also, since the creeps spawn the neutral creeps don't spawn until 30 seconds in,
that's
the
true.
enemy team could be there already waiting for you, and you don't have a Centaur or a Furbog to back you up. So if they do want to do offensive tri-lane, they got to play passive early on. Chen have to start out from his own jungle and then walk into the enemy jungle. So it's going to be a little bit tricky, but it's doable.
You know, and I mean, maybe IG was even thinking it would be a solo mid Juggernaut for Super. I've never seen DK run that, but Juggernaut does pretty well against Brewmaster, all things considered. He's not going to win the lane, but a Brewmaster is not going to kill you, at least not until he gets level 6, and even then, it's very difficult. So maybe that's what IG was thinking. DK is not known for really ever running an aggressive tri-lane. The only reason I brought it up was IG's ban, as well as the heroes DK already had, but that would be definitely a big change of pace if they decide to go aggressive tri-lane. What we generally see from DK is that 4 Protect 1. The offlaner for ROTK, maybe something like a Nature's Prophet this game. I feel like if you're DK, you really want a hero who can farm up an early Orchid this game. Whether it's a Nature's Prophet, I mean a Storm Spirit we've seen from some other teams in the past. You're up against a Brewmaster and a Lifestealer, and that early Orchid is fantastic for dealing with them. Now granted, these heroes are vulnerable to Nyx Assassin, but I feel like if they can find a hero that can build an early Orchid and make good use of it, that would add a lot to their mid game.
Or again, going back to... Well, actually, have you ever seen a solo mid Shadow Shaman or even a solo mid Lion lately from the Chinese?
I haven't seen it from the Chinese lately. I think some teams have run Shadow Shaman mid. I believe I saw Absolute Legends Academy do it, or maybe it was Absolute Legends. But yeah, it's definitely not common, and I haven't really seen it work in a while as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want a reliable stun with the Blink Dagger, that definitely is an avenue. And there is X, who is known to play those kind of Storm Spirit line, those type of initiating heroes, kind of utility initiators, if you will, back in the days.
I think we just got to accept that he's support now. I have not seen him play that role since TI2, and it was only one game at TI2 where he played Storm, and
I think they lost that game.
Yeah, it didn't go well.
In any case, yeah, I mean, DK is going to be looking for those very standard solo mid. Also, a great ban on the Beastmaster. Invictus Gaming is going to say, you know what, we're going to just... Or Beastmaster, or Brewmaster, excuse me, is going to get us all off regardless. So the question is, how will DK deal with that? They're conceding to it already. I mean, they're not going to prevent it. So I'm not even sure if they're going to have that Orchid hero. I think they're going to just try to outlast it, which is going to be somewhat difficult against Brewmaster, to be completely honest.
Yeah, and IG, I mean, who's that safe laner going to be? It looks like an offensive tri-lane right now. It doesn't have to be by any means, but... A Nyx Assassin, Lifestealer, Leshrac is a very scary offensive tri-lane, even though it's double melee. You have tons of lockdown, tons of burst damage, and 2 survivable heroes. If they want to go defensive tri-lane, then they may bear the team. Look at Nature's Prophet, and whoa, we have an OD. DK are going to pick up something we haven't seen in a long time. Now, this is a hero that can make Brewmaster very unhappy in the middle lane.
Yeah, I mean, drain away his intelligence. He can't clap, which is one of his best way to lane control. Now, he is going to most likely put at least 2 points into his Drunken Brawler. But for me, again, DK says, you could, with your Brewmaster, what we're going to try to do is make it a nightmare for you to get any kills. Can you imagine Lifestealer trying to get a kill in this game against Hand of God, Tessa Face Sandbag, Disruption, Astral Imprisonment? How is he ever going to kill anything?
Purge. Don't forget Purge.
And Shadow Demon Purge, yeah. Let's not forget that Shadow Ultimate from Obsidian Destroyer also do a ton of mana burn. And that could be a very reliable way to actually shut down Brewmaster from his ulting. So, I mean, this is a very gimmicky lineup for DK. I mean, look at their stuns. There is like 1 or 2, but it could work.
I mean, like you said, it's a lot of ways to deal with Lifestealer, but here's the problem. It's not a lot of ways to deal with Weaver. They have 0 actual true stuns. And Weaver, whoever he's laning against, is going to have a pretty easy time. I mean, Low Druid is a harder matchup, but unless you get a really lucky root when the Weaver is quite low, he's not going to die. He will be harassed quite a bit. But I don't know if we'll see that matchup. IG, they have basically 2 main options. One is to aggressive tri-lane, and the aggressive tri-lane could basically be almost any combination of these 3 heroes, to be totally honest with you. I mean, maybe you even look at, say, the Weaver offlane, the defensive tri-lane with the Lifestealer, the Leshrac, the Nyx, the Brewmaster going mid. We've seen teams run the tri-lane with Panda, but when it's IG, I really expect it will be Ferrari taking it mid, and I would be wrong. At least for the start, it looks like it's a Ferrari Weaver. Now, this may be mind games. They may switch these up, but it looks like a YYF tri-lane Panda, a Zhou solo Lifestealer, and then a Ferrari solo Weaver.
YYF could definitely handle the mid lane, though. So let's not forget that.
That's true. I mean,
a lot of these players are so versatile. I gotta say, I love DK's draft. And I generally don't say this about Stunless draft a lot, but this draft is actually looking really, really smart in terms of countering IG. Offensive tri-lane versus DK's defensive tri-lane. How do you actually get a kill there? Because Shadow Demon is going to just basically stay back. And because Lone Druid, the hero, is going to be ranged, he's going to mostly stay back and out of harm's way. And of course, the Bear is going to be getting a lot of CS. I really don't think the offensive tri-lane of IG can go into DK unless DK makes a horrible mistake.
I don't expect them to find kills. I mean, if IG finds kills, then DK are doing something very wrong. But at the same time, Lumi, here's my concern when I'm looking at DK's lineup is, as great as their lineup is in the laning stage, can they deal with IG's 5-man in the mid game? That's the big question for me. You have a Bounty Hunter as your offlane who won't bring any teamfight presences. Yes, track move speed, but the gold, you only get that if you're securing kills. So a Chen who, yes, provides heals, they have 0 reliable stuns of any kind. You have lots of ways to kind of kite your opponents and stall out the fights, but they don't have any obvious way to get kills. Aside from perhaps a Demonic Purge, perhaps an Entangle. That's really what it's going to come down to for DK. So we can talk more about the latest, but before we do that, let's introduce the teams. On Team DK, we have Burning Your Soul playing his famous Lone Druid, Super playing the Outworld Destroyer, MMY or Die going to be playing that support Shadow Demon, QQQ on a support Chen. Boy, it's been a while since we've seen DK running that Chen. And last but not least, it will be ROTK on the Bounty Hunter.
Meanwhile, Invictus Gaming foraying into the enemy jungle, led by Zoe, as he's playing the Lifestealer. It looks like it's not going to be a solo mid Lifestealer, considering that he has picked up that Stout Shield. 430 is going to be playing that Brewmaster, has saved for the quick bottle. We do have Chuan playing Leshrac. We do see Faith on the support Nyx Assassin, and we're going to see YYF going up atop solo. So I think both teams trying to scout out the enemy lanes. It is going to be a 1v1 matchup on the top lane, and offensive trialing here coming out from DK.
So it was just a bit of mind games from IG. They end up giving YYF that Weaver. Not going to be played the Brewmaster, although, as you mentioned, certainly a capable solo, but they're sticking with what we've been seeing a lot more from them as of late, and let's see how it works out. So looking at the matchups, it will be an Obsidian Destroyer mid versus a Brewmaster mid. Got to give the laning advantage to the OD. Brewmaster, Bottle Croy won't help you when you have no mana to actually cast a clap from full mana, and that will become an issue. So I think it's around the level 5 mark, but possibly even at level 3. Brewmaster has crappy int gain, so this lane, barring ganks, I would say will favor Super quite a bit. And what do you think about the other two lanes? Burning as an off-lane Lone Druid versus the Zhou Lifestealer. I'd say Burning has the edge here, and then the big question would be the tri-lane.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of lane rotation here. They started out with Bounty Hunter on the bot lane, but kind of realized that it's going to be a Lifestealer there, and think they could take a tiny bit advantage of it. Bounty Hunter, in my opinion, is going to be absolutely fine because he's going to have the protection of the tower. He's going to have that skeletal walk, but more importantly, his supports doesn't have to be there. Chen as well, Shadow Demon could be jungling up as they're doing so right now. They have that Smoke of Deceit, and you could get that gank off in the mid lane because you're going to have that disruption set up. So the lanes are looking really, really good. Faith is going to get a little bit caught out here. MMY, where's the disruption?
He can get blocked.
There it is, and there we go. We're going to see a perfect block. Oh, he went for it, didn't get it off. There's a net. What a sick Impale, getting everything. Didn't get the kill there, but it's going to force a salve usage. He doesn't have salve, so Nyx Assassin going to be out of the lane for quite a bit. Yeah,
couldn't find the block there. I think they do. Oh, they don't have a single salve on their team, so he will be able to tango up. They don't have too much regen on the supports, though. Only sitting on a little bit, and, well, will it be enough? For the moment, they're driven back. They're not really doing anything to shut down the Chen's jungle farm. Bounty Hunter's not dying. Yes, they do have sentry wards, but this tri-lane isn't really that great at killing a Bounty Hunter at the early levels because Nyx Assassin doesn't actually have that much damage at the early level. Sure, he's got Impale. It's a nice disable, but he really needs the levels to burst someone down. So I think as long as RTK hugs his towers, he'll get EXP. And IG, what can they do then? What's their plan B? It looks like it'll just be pulling.
TP. No, they TP on the bot lane. They want to get a kill on Burning. This is a rotation you don't expect. There's an open wound. There's going to be a slurp. A nice dodge here by Burning. Sick play. He picks up a teleport scroll immediately. Unfortunately, bot's a little bit too quick. He's going to try to tango to the north. Diabolic Edict doing a ton of damage. There's a right click to seal the deal. Well, there's a rotation you're looking for. They were not going to win that tri-lane up top.
Oh.
And a lot of teams.
Ferrari picks up a haster in mid. Unable to deny that one. That's the one thing with OD. He's good at sort of dominating here 1v1 in the lane. Can't push the lane, can't easily rune control, but what a rotation from IG. Immediately TPing down bottom and Burning just not prepared for it either. The team didn't call it. And actually, where is his bear? Did he resummon it right before he died?
He might have. Yeah.
Oh man, this is so bad. Zhou is level 5 now, and Burning... Wait, am I reading this right? Zhou is level 5 at 3 minutes in, and Burning is level 3.
Well, here's the thing. Burning had to make that rotation up top as we do see a kill against Nyx Assassin up on the top lane. And there's no more too much afterwards. Yeah, Burning had to make that rotation from the top lane bot. So basically, Lifestealer had about a level 1.5 advantage over Burning at that point already.
And then they get the kill.
And they get the kill, and that's going to put him up there. And of course, a little bit of deny action coming here and there. So I think DK right now have to get this Bounty Hunter to level 6 immediately and then send Burning up back top because this entire lineup, they play for Protect 1. That one is burning, being protected. So far, he's not receiving any protection. He needs farm, and he's not getting it. Back on the top lane here, disruption opening. They're going to focus on YYF. He may have Sakuchi, but you're not going to Sakuchi against Perfect Sun, Soul Catcher, Tessa Fave, a ton of nukes, and the Weaver on the loft lane getting killed.
Yeah, great pick off there, and in the mid lane, the thing is, it really comes down to Birdie in this game, like you said, not just because it's a 4 Protect 1 team, but this lineup, how else are they going to take the fights? They don't have a hero like a Mag who can jump in and start the fights. They don't really have anyone else who can just walk up to the tower and start whacking at it. It's got to be Birdie with a relatively farm bear. It doesn't have to necessarily be ultra rich, but he's got to have some basic items up. He's got to have his level 6, and right now he's 3. He can't even lane here now, so I mean, maybe you even try to make the rotation at this point, even though your bounty hunter's not level 6 yet. What is Birdie supposed to do? The bear is finally going to come off cooldown, but the damage already done. Meanwhile, middle lane, Ferrari looking at a go with Chuan here as well. 3 heroes grouped up mid. IG, a lot of movement from them, more than we normally even see. They are a pretty active team around the map, but just constantly moving this game.
I mean, they have to constantly move. I mean, on the top lane, they're not going to get anything done in supports. You can't pull, so you're going to be under level and under farm as your 2 supports. So they're kind of forced to make that pull, make that movement all over the map to get something going. 430 on the mid lane, using every bit of his mana, because if you don't use it, it's gone. So you might as well throw out those claps when you can. We are going to see XP going to hit level 6 really, really quickly. And at that point, I'm going to look towards rotation to the bot lane from the bounty hunter.
And they're going to get the tier 1 bottom, so Burning now just driven back to his tier 2. Still level 3. He's been entirely zoned out of experience as Zhou hits level 6. Man, you don't see this very often. In a true 1v1, you'd give the edge to the lone druid generally, but with the early rotation down there, and then critically, the gank from Chuan, I think the lane was still going fine for Burning up to that point, but with that death, now it ain't going fine. Now he's not getting a thing. They even have a Centaur down here just trying to protect the lane because Burning's going to be dove with this wave. If he's even remotely near the tower, I think even if he's in experience range, he will be. And we saw that one smoke gank top. Yes, they killed the Weaver, but IG, they're not relying on the Weaver the way that DK's lineup revolves around the lone druid. So I think it's not enough. They're going to need to make a rotation, make an adjustment, and they got to do it soon.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Weaver get off a swarm, attack to support a little bit, that's all they really need out of that Weaver, because you know that Zoe as well as a Brewmaster is going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting. The Lone Druid, for example, for DK, he has to do all of the lifting by himself. Granted, he's going to get helped by a lot of disruptions and astral imprisonments and tracks and all that stuff, but the true damage is going to have to come out from him, and he has no damage. Meanwhile, look at this deep Observe Ward. How is DK going to set up any type of gank with that?
Yeah, I believe that was the one that the Nyx Assassin Faith placed earlier before he ran into the entire enemy team, and he still made it out safely after all that, so a great play by him. And that Observer Ward paying for it, as otherwise Ferrari 430 may have taken a fall in the mid lane. They were preparing to go for a gank there. They even had a smoke picked up on the Chen, just opted not to in the end, and now 430 at 1200 gold, didn't take the death, has a double damage rate and his ultimate. And what does DK do against this push? Their lineup, as I mentioned, great in the laning stage, but how do they deal with 5-man Dota? This isn't even 5-man Dota yet, it's only 4. But IG has the kind of lineup that their 4 heroes will feel like the 5 of many other teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think DK could definitely deal against 5-man lineups, but only if they get a little bit more farm. They want a mech, for example, here on Chen. They want at least level 6 on Chen as well as some decent damage output from the Outworld Destroyer. They're very, very far away from that stage. So right now, IG is showing the fact that they are stronger at this stage of the game, and they're taking advantage of it by pushing that tier 1 tower. You can see that IG Chuan perhaps waiting for the smoke to come from the courier. They need to set up more ganks. Indeed, a smoke is coming in. As the 2 supports here for IG, there's so much pressure on them. The fact that they're winning the game right now is still very impressive. They have to keep roaming. They have to keep ganking. And I think the next place is going to be on the mid lane against Outworld Destroyer.
Yeah, they've got that opportunity going mid. Are they going to take it right now? Chuan has the smoke up, but he hasn't popped it yet. He runs right by a Radiant Observer Ward. Or sorry, no, he's on the Radiant team, man. I need my coffee. Super. Sitting a little bit far back on the hill. He seems to sense that something might be up. His top side is protected, but the bottom side is not. And, well, for the moment, they're not going to go. And Zhou getting close to his drums. And you'll notice whenever Zhou goes for this build, they actually, well, I guess we see YYF do it a bit more, but they always have a second carry. It's never just a one-position lifestealer that's going for it. And we'll see how it pays off. 430, waiting to go in mid lane right now. I think they could just push. I don't think they have to find kills, to be totally honest. I mean, DK, They don't have counter push. QQQ is level 4. He's babysitting Birdie to the jungle. This is just not the way that this lineup was designed to function. I mean, you compare this to, say, Extinct from Orange when he's jungling on Chen. They'll pick stronger laning heroes. They'll have, I mean, granted it's tough against IG, but if he has a good game, he'll hit level 7 at, say, the 6.5, 7 minute mark. This game, we have a Chen who's been forced to be active around the map, but as a result, is very far away, even having 2 creeps. Not there yet, although he's quite close to that.
I'm not sure whether IG can push as easily as you imagine, because there's really no good pushing here from IG. Now, obviously, there is a Leshrakan who could definitely do a ton of damage to towers, but if you want to look at the bot lane, all the Dire team had to do was sit the Lone Druid at the tower, suck up EXP, has Shadow Demon and Chen backing him up, and the 3 heroes that were trying to push in against them, they weren't able to do it. They did a slow amount of damage, like half HP at the tower, but they eventually had to back off. You are going to get the push off if you're IG, but it just takes you like 5-6 minutes to get some tower damage and maybe a tower kill. It's just not worth it. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Obsidian Destroyers receiving 0 pressure and getting free farm, so I don't know. I feel like, again, DK's lineup is very smart. Sentry gets dropped down. They know Bounty's nearby, and I think Bounty might have even seen the Sentry being dropped down, so he's going to probably back off.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Bounty Hunter has gotten a decent amount of farm, but RTK has just not found any openings this game whatsoever. Sitting at 39 CS, and a Bounty Hunter, I mean, it's not about the farm for him. It's about getting an early level 6 and finding kills, but their lineup's not really that great at finding kills unless they're ahead. And right now, DK, sure, they haven't lost too much. They're holding onto their tier 1 bottom, but they're definitely playing on the back foot, and I have to credit DK in spite of that for not giving up kills. I mean, both teams have been playing solid defense. We'll see Super dive in middle lane, but there is a Panda split. It looks like maybe they want to bait it out. They have a disruption available as well. And I guess that's the main concern, is DK can bait that ult out, and if they get a good timely disruption or Astral Imprisonment off, you waste a good chunk of it, and IG, I think they just want the Blink Dagger on 430, and then we'll see them try and take these fights.
Yep, definitely that's the case here. We do see a gank attempt coming on top lane here against Zoe. You call it a gank attempt, but they're really not going to kill Zoe. I say that though, gets the immediate root. He pops out immediately, so he doesn't get the second root off here by the Spare Beard. But forcing here Zoe from the creep wave, XP coming up, rotating top. Again, this is the rotation that we expected. Burning going up to the top lane, getting that free farm as soon as Bounty Hunter hits 6. And now he's A-OK. The 2 supports, or the support and the Weaver on the bot lane getting some farm. I think this very, very slow pace of game really favors DK, because the longer this game goes, especially the lack of harassment against Obsidian Destroyer as well as Burning's Lone Druid, they have the better lane game in my opinion.
But when you're IG, you look at this lineup, and I mean, like we were just talking about, once they get that blink, I think it will be go time for IG. They don't have a lot of farm on their supports, but Weaver has his basic just sort of stats items up. As we see a dive onto the Lone Druid Bear top lane show. Just manning up behind the tower. The stuns won't connect from QQQ. I don't think they'd be able to kill him anyways. He does have rage and drum charges and phase boots, so he can easily just waddle his way out of there. Or not even waddle, but scurry. This guy moves pretty fast. I don't actually think that IG will set back. Once they get that Blink Dagger, I expect we'll see them go, and they do have it now in 430. Maybe a smoke of... It's going to be hard to go mid. I mean, look at the Observer Ward coverage and sentries deployed all over the place, so any kind of smoke gank is mid, and this is something you have to do when you run a hero like Obsidian Destroyer mid, because he is so vulnerable. I mean, sure, he's got Astral Imprisonment, but he doesn't have a true escape mechanism. He's relatively squishy, so I like the fact that they're taking all the precautions in the world against that. As YYF mans up bottom, but not actually going to commit to this. Well, the blink is up on 430. Will they actually go for something? Nothing yet.
Nothing just yet. I think the best place to go right now is going to be in Obsidian Destroyer's lane. Try to get a kill on him and then push a tower with that ultimate. Now, Destroyer, speaking of which, is very close to that 4-staff. So once he gets that 4-staff, I'm not sure whether they get the kill. I mean, we were talking about how DK is lacking true stuns. What really true stun does IG have? They have an Impale and Split Earth, but those are not exactly the longest range stuns, and you can easily 4-staff or disrupt or Astral Imprisonment and basically be pretty much safe.
Yeah, and now Burning's finally starting to get at least some basic CS up. Sitting at 35 CS, 13 minutes in. Honestly, considered to start, it's okay. He's level 7, Zhou is level 9, things have equalized. He can now lane relatively safely against the Lone Druid, and here will be the smoke egg. 3 heroes up in their own jungle, very defensive smoke, just making sure that there was no vision from the Radiant, from the Dire side, and now they're going towards mid. Can they find Super? They'll need to blow a blink clap. Really, they need that stun to come out before the imprisonment. No, they're going to head all the way top, and unfortunately, the sentry that was in the lane has just expired. He'll even pop an illusion rune up on the cliff. 430 is going to pull a fast one on them. He sends the illusion back towards the lane, and I think this may they just fool DK. Only burning here for the moment. He's even feeling confident enough to do a little pulling, a little jungle farming with this bear. They're on the hunt. They've got the scent. They want some bear meat. Are they gonna find it? No, Burning, look at the positioning all the way to the eastern corner of the creep camp. He will escape. The smoke gank completely blown, but at the same time, they have good positioning near this top tower. The tower bottom was denied, but still a tower drops for DK. And now I think IG, even though they don't get the burning kill, they get the crucial positioning they need, where it's now not safe for DK to try and contest this tower. So I don't actually think it was a big loss as far as that gank goes.
I mean, the supports did nothing. Meanwhile, the supports, obviously for DK, they're getting leveled, they're getting farm. And of course, DK, like I said, has that Force Staff now up here, so that's another way for them to actually defend. Yeah, they'll fight this tower. They'll defend this tower. They'll take you head on. I mean, sure, they have no damage, but they're so damn tanky. It's going to be so difficult to kill DK, and Burning doesn't mind. He'll farm every single creep under his tower that's going to be coming his way with this bear or with this hero. So the longer the siege hold, and if IG don't break the siege, they're going to be okay.
I just felt like IG, well, here's the initiation. It'll come on to Super against Mana Burn. Can they burst him down? The Hand of God is there. The Force Staff saves him from the clap, and then he's sent home in the nick of time. QQQ, the one who's caught. That Chen will melt, and now the chase is on, and now IG are in their element. This lineup is built for this sort of thing. This team loves to dive, loves to chase this 5 and just outman you, outgun you. DK, they have those initial abilities to keep you alive, but what do they do after those wear off? Once the Hand of God is blown, on the side of IG, we know what they do. They throw more Sakuchi out. They throw more Impales. They keep on chasing. That was without a Panda split. That was with 430 showing up late to the fight. And I don't know, man. It's really going to be hard for DK, I feel, to defend. They can live. They can try and turtle, but eventually IG's going to find that one weak spot, that one opening, and they're just going to pounce.
Yeah, and that one opening just put it on a silver platter by Super. I'm not sure why he was south of that camp that you could pull on the top lane, right on that ridge on going up to that camp. He should never even be there. Sure, he didn't die, but his teammates threw a ton of spells to make sure he doesn't die. And obviously, as you lose one hero in that kind of lineup, you continue to lose more and more because your defensive capabilities are either on cooldown or your heroes are dead or they're being sent back. So you have fewer and fewer defensive capabilities. So it's very important for DK to put Burning in front. He's the most tanky hero. And well, here we go. They're going to initiate. He gets Force Staff back up. Primal Split's going to be used. There's going to be defensive disruption here coming from X. Where's the sent back? Where's the Hand of God? It's all in cooldown. It looks like he is going to go down. No defensive capability left.
Holy shit, that ultimate just ruined them. That OT ult did so much freaking damage. It drives them all back. They pick up 2 kills, but Joe is still alive. Joe's in the middle of the fight, and RTK thinking of a turnaround here. Sentry Ward's deployed. Now RTK, the one in trouble. Joe will chew through him. He wants some more snacks. Chuan, not the only one who's hungry this game. Die now. Actually turning the fight back around. Joe, can he get out of this? Doesn't look like it. He's disrupted. He's surrounded. YYF is going to charge into the middle of the engage. That Lifestealer actually lives. What an incredible Impale by Faith. Time for the second that disruption wears off to give the opening for the escape. The Blink Clap from 430. Not going to connect on anything too significant except for the bear. And a Force Staff into the fight by Super. Did he get Force Staffed in by the enemy team, or did he really just throw himself in? They don't have one. He just threw himself right in there. And IG said, thank you for the donation. We will take that. And then they're looking at a tier 1 on the back of it.
Yeah, DK, with this kind of lineup, they have to play absolutely perfectly. And to me, Yoru's the weak link here. On the top lane, got caught out, got picked off. Mid lane, got caught out, got picked off. Came back and Force Staff himself in. These are some very questionable play against IG, who has a lot of resiliency on their own right. I mean, when you have Brewmaster that's so mobile, he's a very tanky hero, could initiate, re-engage with Blink Dagger. You can't make those misplays. And a single misplay, you're digging yourself a deeper and deeper hole, because this team is not designed to lose too many kills. They're designed to protect each other, and so far we're not seeing too much of that.
You know, ever since that game in the Beyond the Summit World Tour where 430 Force Staff Sing into his team to initiate, I always am like, all right, if that happens, I'm just going to assume the enemy team has a Force Staff and made an amazing play instead of saying, Sing, what you doing? But in this case, it really was a super, what are you doing moment. Maybe there's some miscommunication behind that, but he just jumped right into the middle of 4 or 5 heroes. If he had his ult up, it could have been a good situation, but he had already used it right before dying. It cost them heavily. DK, I would say the one thing about their lineup, it is a little bit harder to execute. IG's lineup is pretty much throw your stuns out, pop your rage when you need to, and just man the hell up. DK's lineup is much more of a kind of an agile, kite them around, spam the tracks, disrupt when needed, but make sure they're timely, don't get caught out. It's just a much more finesse-based lineup, and seems like IG, the brute force style, working a lot better for them. We will see a wraparound onto Zhou top lane. He'll simply pop his rage, but he's worried about Entangle. Is he actually going to get out of here? He's got an Infest. He'll pop into that Chen Creep, the free heal that we mentioned, the Fountain Trip, and now the chase is on. They even have another track up, but the Cavalry's arrived. Chuan throws out a Split Earth. They'll turn around in the nick of time, but in the middle of it all, it's a Blake clap from 430. He doesn't have the ult. It's 3 seconds from going down, but what a stun by Finn, catching a few, and now they're in a headlong retreat. Die dead quickly. Burning on the run to another Split Earth will be coming soon, but not before that Boulder Toss. DK just getting outgunned and overwhelmed in these fights. And will it be ROTK next? It sure looks like it. Thrown up in the air, brought back down. No stun to fly. I'm not sure if they have detection. The ODL comes out, but Zhou is just tanking. He's got his wand charges. He's looking for another kill. This might be the death of Super. This time Force Dash the right direction, but it won't matter. And IG getting all the kills in the world, and the cores for DK take a fall again.
Man, that gank on Zhou. Zhou was trying to race his way towards a creep so he could infest. And then Chen came with the army. He's like, all right, I'll take this one instead. It gives me a ton more HP. And he popped out immediately before, of course, Chen could send that big creep back home.
Oh, ROTK. He wanted that kill on Zhou. He wanted the big play. He gets Zhou down to about 10, 15 HP. Doesn't find the kill. And then it gets turned around. Just insult to injury right now. And what was really a very masterful defensive display by DK after a bad start to the laning stage of stabilizing has quickly turned into a capsized ship that seems to be on its way down in game number 1.
And normally you say, all right, we're playing a defensive lineup. We expect something like that to happen. We'll be okay. We can hold a high ground. The thing is, when you give up those kills, IG, they get a lot more offensive power by picking things like a quick mech. They could face rush you a lot even better. And I gotta say though, Faith for me is the MVP. He's getting 2 3-man impales, and suddenly when half the team is disabled and can't cast those defensive capabilities, you're in big trouble.
And it really shows you the strength of a Nyx Assassin. This is a 5 position support actually in this case, as it is Chuan playing the Leshrac, and he's just running into the middle of the fight and stunning people. If you try to do that with pretty much any other support in the game, outside of perhaps a Tidehunter, you die. This shows the strength of Nyx Assassin, but it also shows the poise of Faith and the deep understanding of the hero to know that he can run in like that, throw out the stun. Even if he dies, it's okay, because it buys time for 430 to get the big clap ultimate off. It allows them to continue chasing, and I mean, DK, it's just like once that first component of the lineup starts to fail in any way or starts to get caught out, takes some damage, it has to run, gets sent back to base, it all just collapses like a house of cards.
Yeah, Zhou is just hiding this entire team up top. He was raging, he was infesting, and he raged out of that infest. They threw a ton of spells on top, disruption, imprisonment. They just can't get the kill. He's just simply too tanky, moving too fast, especially when the armlet toggling. And of course, SMY is going to be coming out here from the life slower as well. So I don't know what the comeback mechanic here is for DK. I don't really see one. It's tracked, but if you get the kill, right? That's where you were kind of harping on earlier.
That's very true.
This defensive team is not made to get kills. They're just like, all right, we will try to not die, and hopefully you can't kill us. The track is really for the MS, in my opinion, in this draft. And I really don't know how they come back, track or not track.
I mean, it's got some nice synergy with their lineup just in terms of being able to run away from IG, but IG have enough spells and enough stuns and slows of their own that it doesn't feel like track is sufficient in most cases. So, yeah, track gold is going to be their comeback mechanic. How they find those kills, I think it's got to be a mistake from IG. I mean, I think that's really what it comes down to. And the problem is, they have heroes that have a lot of margin for error. Lifestealer, Panda, Weaver, these heroes, even a Nyx Assassin, heroes that can tank, heroes that have escape mechanisms and ways to go back to full HP, such as Infest, such as Time Lapse. It's hard to make enough mistakes to actually give up those big track kills. And IG, they take a tier 2 mid, uncontested, really a sign of the times, and a show of strength from IG, just walking up to the tower, and DK says, we can't fight you outside our base. We're going to give that up. They will smoke. They all run directly by a Radiant Sentry Ward. I didn't see any pings from IG, but they've got to be suspicious. Just looking at how this map is right now, well, there's quite a few heroes off the map. The mid lane pushed into the base, and nobody defending it.
Yeah, when you're winning by 12,000 gold and the enemy is not farming that precious, yet very safe mid lane, you know something is up. And of course, you just gotta back off. IG Fate farming that very last camp, and they are just making a beeline back to the tower. Zoe knows he's safe if Infest is back up. He's got that S and Y finish, and when he's phasing, he's close to max movement speed. It's gonna be hard to pick him off. But they do find YYF, but Sakushi backs out very quickly.
You were looking at a different engagement there. I was looking at the south side where Faith had laid a little trap for himself. I feel like I'm watching a spider. I mean, this is the real Broodmother. It's this Nyx assassin being played by Faith, who places a sentry ward, hides inside the trees, and says, "Come, my precious, come to my web, or I can destroy you." And he doesn't hit the impale there, doesn't find the kill, but IG, they don't make any mistakes in this situation. They will calmly sort of wait out the smoke gank. DK, tons of wasted time, and the creep wave was at the mid tower, which means tons of wasted farming time as well. Burning, sitting on Armlet for his bear, but when you're looking at a lifestealer with a Sanjin, Yasha, and Armlet and drums, an Armlet bear just feels very inadequate.
Yeah, and, well, inadequate and a little bit too late as well. Now they're going to try another 5-man gank on Zoe. And
no
Zoe
stuns.
Says, I mean, yeah, like we talked about the lack of true disables. He will just walk around very easily, especially with that SNY build. Here comes XP. He does find Zoe, but really don't think they have any kind of hope in terms of killing. They're going to have to start with a track, but you can rage the track off. They're going to open it with the disruption. They have to collapse very quickly. There's a net. Net is the thing that they need the most. Can you grab that net range? Where's the net? They do find him.
The TPs are coming, though. The backup could be here. There's your entangle on the first go. Oh, man. Zhou dropping very quickly, but here comes Faith with the 2-hero impale. The follow-up stun from Chuan as well. Where is that Panda? There he is. 430 jumps in, drops a huge blink, clap. Oh, and nails pretty much all the key heroes. And now Burning's gonna mount. Super's gonna explode. 3 heroes down, soon to be 4. Absolutely overwhelmed. And it looks like we're gonna see 5. Shadow Demon die. No way out for you either, mister. He will take a spill, and now a 15k gold lead, a 12k experience lead. There was a buyback from Zhou in the midst of that chaos, now a buyback from your support Leshrac, your 4-position hero. You know you're far ahead when your support is buying back at this point in the game. Lumi, things looking really dire for DK right now, and fantastic for IG, and they tap out. GG.
They tap out? I mean, this defensive lineup trying to play the defense didn't work, so they're like, you know what, let's smoke gank. This is the 3rd attempt here to gank Zoe. They got the kill off. Zoe says, alright, you got me. Good job.
Come get me again.
I buy back, and I come right back at your team, and Ferrari was at the middle of everything at that point. A funky, finicky draft coming out from DK. It, like you said, it was very difficult to execute. They didn't have that perfect execution, and IG will take that one for free.
I mean, it even goes back to those little things that you pointed out, like especially the fact that Lone Druid Burning had to walk all the way to the bottom lane, and I was just looking at it. I mean, even though we had talked about it, it's still shocking to see a Lone Druid who's level 3 when the enemy lifestealer is level 6. That just doesn't happen. But because they didn't anticipate the lanes correctly, because there was that last-minute adjustment, IG got a huge edge in the laning stage, and it just felt like IG always the ones making the adjustments first, making them faster and making them a bit smoother. And you talked about defense, Lumi. A wise man once said, the best defense is a great offense, and we saw some great offense from IG in this game.
Definition of face flush. IG, every time they run something like this, they just don't make any mistake. And I just want to just single play that was really impressive is they walk supports deep into the enemy jungle right at minute 1 or 2 and drop an observer ward. How do you smoke gank? I mean, if you pop the smoke gank, they see you doing that, and
that was specifically targeted at this lineup. Not just any old smoke gank, it's a Chen Shadow Demon smoke gank. So you know they're coming probably from that big camp, because the other big camp isn't safe to farm because IG had just shown that they're running an aggressive tri-lane. So just such refined play when you really dive into it. Really smart stuff from them. But guys, this is only game 1 in a best of 3. DK versus IG, a crucial game for DK, as DK is currently 0-1 in the group. If they lose this match, they will be 0-2, and then they must win their final match to have any shot of advancing as 3rd place. And even if they do, it's tough from there. You have to win 2 matches in a row if you're 3rd place in your group to make it into the LAN finals. Can they reprise their position, their appearance at the last LAN finals this season? We'll find out a little bit later, but for now, it's game 2 between Invictus Gaming and Team DK coming up right after this.